Hello. So, this is definitely different than my normal content, which is just like mini travel vlogs. Um, but I am doing a Q1 book wrap up, reading wrap up. Usually, I'm either reading on my Kindle or listening to audiobooks. I feel like some people don't consider audiobooks reading. I don't care. I'm still consuming the book, which I think is just just as stimulating to my brain as reading is. And I still do read on my Kindle. Um, but in Q1, I am going to be looking at my phone here because I have this note. Can we see? 2026 reads. It's I don't use Goodreads or any other like reading tracking app website account. I just have a list in my notes app. It says 2026 reads, and then I list each month. And I don't even include the author's names. I just include the books that I read. So, January, February, March, I read 17 books. I'm off to a great start. My reading goal this year is 36. Last year, my reading goal was 24, and I think I read 27, not including some rereads that I did. Yeah, so starting in January, I read The Poppy War, Intermezzo, and Red Rising. So I started two series. And I feel like Poppy War and Red Rising definitely are very talked about. And I also just do get a lot of my reading recommendations from TikTok, unfortunately, because some of those books are very hit or miss. Like there are some books where I started them and I was like, I can't, I just stopped reading or listening after a short while. And there are some books that I did end up reading where I'm just gonna not continue on with this series. But so I started those three books. I really liked The Poppy War. I liked the second book even better. So I'm hoping that the series finishes off with a bang, with the third book. Um, yeah, I like the main character. I like that you can like see her character flaws. Um, I feel like sometimes main characters are like too perfect. So I like that she isn't so well rounded. And then I read Intermezzo, and I feel like Intermezzo was very, very hyped. I feel like I was seeing it online at all a lot, and I heard a lot of people talking about it, and I it kind of like fell a little bit flat for me. So okay, this is what I'm gonna say about Intermezzo. I did enjoy it, and I really liked when it was focusing on the sibling relationship. I didn't care as much for their romantic relationships. And I feel like there was a heavy focus on that for both. The next book that I read and series that I started was Red Rising. My brother recommended this to me, even though he had actually not read it himself yet. I think I'm further in the series than he is. So I don't know why he recommended it when he hadn't read it yet. But this is definitely like his vibe where it's like very sci-fi, futuristic, about society. Um rather I should say like social structures. It really reminded me of Brave New World. I felt like it was like a spin-off of Brave New World, honestly. Um but I did enjoy it. It definitely is like boy book. Um that was it for January. So kind of a slow start, but I did get into two series. In February, I did read a lot. I think it was 8 books, um, which is great. Um, so February, I read Katabasis or Katabasis. I don't know how to pronounce it. I really liked it. I thought it was very cool. Um, this month, you're gonna really see a theme of like fantasy, magic, that kind of vibe. And And I feel like I was consuming a lot of that kind of book, and I kind of started to need like a palate cleanser. So I've been like reading a lot lighter, like rom-com-y, real life kind of books. Real life kind of books. Yeah, so read Katabasis. I really loved it. I liked the characters a lot. And again, like, I like a not perfect main character. I think it's more interesting. It makes it seem like actually a story about someone else. Because I feel like sometimes if, like, the main character is too generic, or the main character is too perfect, or there isn't, like, enough to the character's personality, you end up just being a stand-in for that character, which I kind of don't like. Anyway. So I really liked Katabasis. Next, I read Heartless Hunter, and then later in the month also read Rebel Witch, so I read the whole duology. It definitely felt very YA. I think it is YA, but I liked it. It was like cool magic system, definitely different than like what I've seen before. I did like both halves together because I did read them pretty close, so I kind of just like treated it as one story, which I liked, and I kind of called to the twist on the first book, which isn't hard because it's like a YA book. But I really liked that one. It was definitely like the enemies to lovers. I don't know. It's just a fun kind of trope. And then I read Divine Rivals and then Ruthless Vows. Again, I read both in the duology. I really liked Divine Rivals. Like, I liked the first book like a lot, but the second book I didn't like as much. Spoiler alert, the brother was a more prevalent character in the second book, and I feel like we barely knew anything about him. Like, I wish maybe they explored the relationship between the main character and her brother more, because I felt like he was just like annoying, ruining everything, or like just annoying me and getting in the way of like this girl's life. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the second one, it was kind of just trying to like tie up all the loose ends. It kind of fell a little bit flat for me because I really did enjoy the first one. Anyway, next, I read the duology Stolen Heir and The Prisoner's Throne. Another fantasy kind of duology. So it's crazy because February I read literally 3 duologies. But yeah, Stolen Heir, The Prisoner's Throne. This is like a spin-off duology of the trilogy The Cruel Prince. So The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing. Love those books. Again, it's like YA, but I appreciated like how dark a magical world could be. Love the main character. She's a girl boss. So I read Stolen Heir and Prisoner's Throne, and I liked it. I feel like I just liked that world already, so it kind of like fit right in with the other books that I also enjoyed. And then the last book that I read in February was The Night and the Moth. I really loved this one. I was shocked and heartbroken at the end. I feel like I did not see the twist coming. I could read the vibes, but I was like still shocked about how it ended. And I know there's going to be a sequel, which I'm like scared about. I don't know if it's out or not yet, but I'm scared to read it because it ended off in such a terrible way. Anyway, I really, really liked that one. And then March, I read 6 books. So I read A Golden Sun, which is the second book after Red Rising. I don't think I liked the second one as much, even though a lot of people were saying that like the first one is like the weakest in the series. I don't know. I don't know if I'm too picky, or I think the way the story is told, it feels choppy. And I think that's why I'm not like really vibing with it. I feel like it's not like a very smooth plot, like the way things flow into the next. And like I do understand it's like a very like action-packed book. I just feel like sometimes it feels like disjointed, like what happens. Anyway. And then I read A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly. This, again, is like a TikTok recommendation. I didn't really like it that much. I know that it's a series, but I didn't really vibe with it. I don't think I'm going to continue the series, but I did finish the book. I read A Darker Shade of Magic. You can see like a clear theme in all these books. There's like a lot of magic, a lot of fantasy. But I did really like A Darker Shade of Magic. I thought it was a very interesting magic system. I liked the characters. I didn't like the voice actor for the woman. I'm sorry. Her voice kind of annoyed me. But I don't know. I still liked the character. The voice just annoyed me. So I think probably for the next one, I'll just read it like on my Kindle. I read The Dragon Republic, which is the second book in the Poppy War series. I am becoming obsessed with the series. I actually cried on the first book because it was heartbreaking. But yeah, I really like the Poppy War. I'm like scared for what's gonna happen in the third book, but I will probably read that. I will definitely read that in Q2. So I'll let you guys know how I feel about the series as a whole. And then I read The Bodyguard, which is just like a rom-com-y. Yeah, it's just like a I love like a fake dating trope. I don't know. I mean, enemies to lovers, when it's done right, I like it. Fake dating, it's like obviously they're gonna fall in love. It's just like an easy, light read, which I liked. And then I read One Dark Window. Also obsessed with that one. It's by Rachel Gillig. She also wrote The Night and the Moth. And I definitely saw similarities between the two. Just, I shouldn't even say that. It's just her writing style. It's written by the same author. But I, again, love, like, the world building for both were, like, amazing. And I feel like you really get sucked into it. I think I read it over the span of, like, one trip to Mexico. Anyway, One Dark Window, it was amazing. I already have the next book, and I'm gonna read it. Because again, it's a duology. The second book is Two Twisted Crowns, which I did start, so I'm very excited about it. But yeah, that's my reading wrap up for Q1, January, February, March. So I'll definitely try to do another video in July going over whatever else I read. It's probably gonna be a lot more like fluffy reads because I feel like summertime you want like a nice little beach read, but maybe I'll be reading something heartbreaking and depressing on the beach. But that's all for now. And I will see you next time, whether that's like a traveling thing or another book thing, or we'll see what else I'm up to. Bye. That is not what I meant to do. That's not what I meant to do.